The tyrannical king handed the queen a cup of poisoned wine. She swallowed it in a single gulp and asked him one final question. Had he ever truly loved her? With arrogance in his voice, the king replied that he had never loved her at all. Hearing this, the queen smirked and asked whether he wanted to know the location of his beloved consort's grave. As the king leaned closer, the queen suddenly grabbed him and kissed him forcefully, pouring the remaining poisoned wine into his mouth. Just before death claimed them both, they silently swore that if they were ever given another life, they would never fall in love with each other again. When the queen opened her eyes, she was stunned. She had traveled 7 years back into the past. What shocked her even more was that she was now trapped inside the king's body. A eunuch informed her that the next day would be the queen's coronation ceremony. To convince everyone to accept her as queen, the king had knelt outside the Empress Dowager's palace for 3 consecutive days. In her previous life, the queen had never heard about this. Could it be that the king had truly loved her after all? The thought lasted only a moment before anger overwhelmed her. She remembered all the suffering and humiliation the Empress Dowager had inflicted upon her in the past. Now that she was in the king's body, she decided to take revenge.
Meanwhile, the king awoke inside the queen's body and was equally shocked. Palace maids arrived to congratulate him on his pregnancy and presented him with a bowl of soup. They claimed it would help secure the queen's position. The king had never known that the queen had once carried his child. 7 years earlier, their love had been deep, and he would never have allowed anyone to harm their unborn baby. He demanded to know the truth from the maids and was horrified to hear that the order had supposedly come from him. Because the queen's family possessed enormous military power, it was considered safer for her to remain childless before becoming queen. The king quickly realized that this was actually a forged order created by the Empress Dowager. Before he could expose the conspiracy, the maids forced him to drink the bitter soup. He could not help but imagine how helpless the queen must have felt in her previous life. She had never known the truth and had spent years believing that the man she loved had abandoned her. Consumed by rage, the king seized a guard's sword, killed the maids in the room, and rushed outside. He wanted to confront the Empress Dowager immediately.
However, when he arrived at her palace, he found his own body already standing there. Moments earlier, the queen had also learned the truth from the Empress Dowager. Without hesitation, she ordered the Empress Dowager to be imprisoned for endangering a royal heir. The Empress Dowager could not believe that the once obedient emperor had become so ruthless, but her desperate pleas for mercy were silenced forever as the palace doors closed behind her. She would never be given another chance to speak. Shortly afterward, the queen saw her own body approaching with a sword in hand. In an instant, she realized that the king was inside her former body. Standing before everyone, he loudly read the royal decree announcing the queen's coronation and handed the official document to her. Unlike their previous life, there was no hatred left in her eyes, and just as importantly, there was no love remaining in his. Both of them finally understood that power over each other's fate was far more important than either love or hatred.